Hello, everyone. I hope you guys had a great week. My name's Devin, and to my left, which you'll see in a moment, is Tony, and we're your hosts for this evening. We want to give you as much of the student perspective as possible because we think that going through this school with the students' eyes will give you guys the best kind of experience of what it's like to be at Saints. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story and why I came to St. George's. To preface, so I live in Deep Cove, which is like far in North Vancouver, and I used to go to a school called Stratford Hall until grade 8. I tell people this because it's kind of like, why did I go to Saints? Like, I was at a good school, I was really far away from Saints, so like, why did I really decide? And it was because I came there for a sports game, and I was wowed, like, so many opportunities. It was crazy. Like, you go there and you're like, their athletics is awesome. And then you go there and their arts is awesome, and it's like, wow. I came to actually one of these, had a student interview, and I was sold. I applied instantly, and I was really, really, like, thankful that I got in and I was able to go. What I wanted to tell you guys today is that while opportunities are important and great, it's not the whole reason why you should come. It's really about the community of the school, and I learned that as I went up. Like, I came for the opportunities, but you can say that I stayed for the community. Now that I'm in grade 12, I kind of get this retrospective view. I see like my 11-person tight-knit advisories all the way up until from grade 8. I see the lunchtime soccer, I see the friendly teachers. It all captivated me. And it's just a really unified school. And as I got older, you kind of grow with each other, right? Like you learn, you do all these activities, and then by the time you're in grade 12, it's just a unified grade 12 classroom that I'm proud to call my brothers. I'm proud to wear my grad jacket every day because of the way the community interacts. If you get anything from what I said, the opportunities are great, but if there's one thing is for sure, is our community is the best part of St. George's, and if you immerse yourself in it, that's really how you get the best out of our school. I'm going to let Tony share a bit of his experience, and then we'll go through the format.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Tony Zhang, and I am also a grade 12 student. There we go, Tony. Try that again. All right, I'll try it again. Hello, everyone. My name is Tony Zhang, and I'm also a grade 12 student. However, in contrast to Devin, I live in Harker Hall, the school's boarding house, which is a 7-minute walk away. For me, having been to both public school and here, I can say with confidence that St. George's better equipped me for the post-secondary education and a life beyond that. In addition to the world-class teachers who are knowledgeable and experienced in their field of study, St. George's also offers world-class athletic program. It was here that I got to try sports such as rugby and rowing, which was 2 sports that had significant impact on shaping my character. St. George's School also has a wide range of extracurricular activities that appeal to whatever interest a student may have. For example, as a student who has always been interested in social justice and politics, Model United Nations has given me the chance to delve deeper into these interests. And students who have interested in finance can join an investment club. And students interested in artificial intelligence can learn more about it in robotics club. Teachers are also very supportive of students and encourage them to explore and start clubs that fit their own interests as well. When I was in grade 10, I was extremely interested in communications and advertising campaigns. And I started this marketing club to practice skills needed for the area and with like-minded peers. So my message for all of you is that if you have a passion, our school has the resources to guide you in pursuing that passion. And if you aren't sure what your passion is, which is totally okay, our school's wide array of classes and activities will give you the option of trying everything so you can discover your true interests. And lastly, for me, as a boarding student coming to a new school, one of my biggest worries was fitting in and finding a group that I belong to. And having attended the school for the last 5 years, I can say without a doubt that these fears have been resolved, as all of my teachers have been extremely supportive, and my school counselors and house parents have been instrumental in guiding me to become who I am today. All right, so the agenda for the evening is as follows. You will hear from my head boy, Joey, and key leaders on campus, including Senior School Principal, Mr. Kern, Associate Principal of Academics, Ms. Coates, and Associate Principal of Student Life, Mr. Brian Lee. Prior to closing, Mr. Kamazin will speak of admissions and introduce their team, followed by a tour of a campus with a current student. And after your tour, we hope that you will join us in the lower grade hall for refreshments and some discussions. And without further ado, let's welcome Joey to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gary Curran. I'm the principal of the senior school. This is actually my 6th year here at St. George's. Previous to being at St. George's School, I was the director of instruction in the West Vancouver schools, which was the public school system. I've been a senior school principal, I've been an elementary school principal, and actually for one little period of my time, I actually left education altogether, and I ran a software company. It was an Australian company. I had a chance to learn about education and about business and a little bit more about the world, working in the UK, working in the United States, and of course, working across Canada. I came to St. George's 6 years ago because I was drawn to the idea that if there's any school that I knew of, any school in BC, any school in Western Canada, that was going to be able to make education relevant and meaningful and engaging for students, and to have a place where students were fully invested in their education, I was told that St. George's was the place. And I have to tell you, after 6 years, I'm so impressed with what this school has been able to offer our students, our parents, and our whole community. You should know, if you don't already, the senior school has 775 students. So at the grade 12 a year, we graduate around 160 students. At the grade 8 year, we have around 140 students, 90 of which are at the junior school, and 50 more students come in from outside of the St. George's community. So when we draw students, we have students that are local, that walk to school. We have a lot of students that take the bus all the way from Deep Cove, Richmond, Delta, North Vancouver. And we also have students from around the world. We have 110 students that live at Harker Hall as part of our boarding program, and they represent over 20 different countries. So we have an extremely diverse group of students coming in to St. George's. And 775 students, I have to point out, that's 775 boys. And if there's one thing that we know really well, right, is boys' education. So 775 boys, one of the things that we have learned is that no two boys are exactly the same. So when we talk about boys' education, we're actually talking and we're learning more that boys' education is not actually a narrowing of what we're trying to accomplish. It's actually a broadening of what we're trying to do with our students, right? Because what we know with our boys is that they learn in completely different ways. They have completely different interests, and they have completely different goals around what they're trying to accomplish. And so that's something that we've really been focusing on with a boys' education, is that there's not actually two boys exactly the same. Now, what we do know is that we have to have common language. So at the senior school and at the junior school and at Harker Hall, we talk a lot about our core values. Those are the things that bring us together, because in our words and our actions, we want to talk about respect and resiliency and responsibility and empathy and humility and integrity. Those are the things that drive our actions and drive our words. Now, I think I would be remiss for the people here tonight. You probably have seen that we have been in the news over the past couple of weeks. And I have to share with you that it's been an extremely difficult time for our community. We thought that we were doing tremendous work in terms of character, in terms of helping build diversity, inclusion for our school and for our community. And it turns out there's significantly more work that we have to do. So the events over the past couple of weeks are something that we are fully committed to making a defining moment for us as an opportunity to work even further in helping every single boy, regardless of their background, regardless of their religion, regardless of their sexual orientation, feel welcome and feel included here at the school. Who we are is also our community, and I think you heard from some of our boys before that community matters to us. If you're a boy that loves being on your phone, I kind of have some bad news for you, because one of the things that we did this year in order to try to build community is we've asked our kids to take their phones and take their technologies and put them to the side. And so The purpose of that is that during lunch times, during break times, before school and after school, what we actually want to see our boys doing is face-to-face interactions. We want to see them playing games. If you saw in our great hall here, you're going to see foosball tables and you're going to see table tennis tables, because we want our boys engaging with one another in a face-to-face interaction way. That's how we learn to be human. That's how we learn to like and respect one another. So the phones, I've been so impressed with our boys because they've put them away. Quite simply, just put them to the side. And that's a really important part for us because that's a key part of building community. The other part of our community, though, is that if you get admitted into St. George's, it's not just the student that's getting admitted, it's also the family. We want you to be part of our community. And I think there's all sorts of different meanings and layers behind that. We need your supports. Your son needs your supports. And we really want as a family to try to understand what our core values are and to also live them and speak them at the home. And so that's kind of a key piece with our family. And kind of my last thought around who we are, at the senior school especially, is that we know adolescents. We know teenagers. We live with them every day. So you have 1 or 2 teenagers at home. We have 775 teenagers. And they are wonderful, and they're messy, and they're loud, and they're authentic, and they're genuine, and they're sometimes angry, and they're sometimes emotional, but they are wonderful. What we do know about adolescence is that this is a time of their life, actually the second most important stage of their life, the first one being from birth to 3 years of age. This is the second most important time of their life in terms of their brain development. And they make significant changes from the time they are 13 till the time they're around 18 or 19 years of age. And what really strikes me about this stage of life is that they crave identity and they crave belonging. And sometimes that's really hard for parents to understand because your 12-year-olds, their identity is quite established. They know who they are, they're confident in what they're able to do, and they're very much belonging. They belong to you. They belong to their families. And then something happens when they turn around 14 years of age, 15 years of age. You mix in some testosterone, and all of a sudden they don't know who they are anymore, and they don't know who they belong to. And they seek out their friends to belong, and they want to push edges and try to figure out what this world is and how they fit into it. And that's how their identities get formed. And I share that with you because one of the challenging pieces for our students is that there's this really strange kind of narrowing of education, this real focus on marks, this real focus on getting into universities, which actually narrows our students' experiences, even though we know our students need a broadening of experiences. And it's one of the challenges that so many of our students face, and it's one of the things that we're really working on in helping our students actually expand their experiences. So when they're in grade 11 or grade 12, we don't want them taking 8 academic classes. We want them actually taking an arts class or maybe a physical education class, because that's how they figure out who they are, and that's how they figure out how they can belong. How do we do all of this? In just a moment, I'm going to introduce you to Miss Sarah Coates, who is our Associate Principal of Academics. And she's going to talk a little bit about the love of learning and what we're trying to accomplish in the classroom. Then I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Brian Lee, our Associate Principal of Student Life. And he's going to talk to you about character education. And he's going to talk to you about co-curriculars, kind of the 2 foundations around how we actually try to support our students in terms of who they are and how do they belong. And if I can leave you with one kind of aspiration and encouragement, we're looking for students to join our school who are authentic, who have a genuine desire to learn and figure out the world. And we are really looking for students who want to be part of a community. You know that saying, that me to we, that we part is a really important part for us here at St. George's because, as I said in the beginning, if there's any place that can make education relevant and meaningful, it's St. George's School. And I thank you for your interest today, and I look forward to talking further with all of you. So, thank you.
Right.
PC, so I'll just...
I think you would agree with me about the power of this community to positively impact lives.
I can only say that the people who work at this school are absolutely relentless in pursuit of excellence.
Gentlemen, look at the boys around you. Think of the shared experience that you banked this year. Think of your teachers. Today, I challenge you to look in the mirror and ask yourself how you have made the experience of those around you better for you having been there. Do not worry about being perfect, for if you see your imperfection as a strength that will draw others to you, today I exhort you to dare greatly.
You only need 4 things for success, gentlemen. The first thing you need is love. Number 2, you need a sense of purpose. The third thing you need is passion. The last thing you need is hope and a strong belief in yourself. You have to believe that no matter what obstacles, no matter what abyss you face, you're going to get through it.
Our key purpose is to help our students become the very best human beings they are capable of becoming. We advance our mission on a daily basis, one interaction, one conversation, one relationship, one boy at a time. We have all learned, we've all grown, and whether they realize it or not, every young man sitting in this tent today has grown over the course of the year and is different and I believe better than he was in September.
To have moments where we're free from reality unleashes our most powerful weapon, our imagination. That's the greatest gift this school gives us. They never take that away. They keep it alive. Imagination, freedom to think of anything, freedom to be anything.
Good evening. As Gary mentioned, my name is Sarah Coates. I have the honor of serving as Associate Principal and primarily concerned with our academics. This is my 10th year at St. George's School. I'll admit to you that I came here 10 years ago because it was a great school and they were offering me a job, so I thought I should take it. But I've stayed for 10 years because of all of those faces that you saw on the video, all of those voices that you heard on the video. Those are my colleagues, those are my friends, those are our students. And it actually almost makes me a little emotional seeing so many of those faces, and I know that some of you will become some of those faces eventually as well. So it's a real pleasure to get to speak to you today. I'm going to focus for just a few minutes on learning. We are a school. We do learning in everything that we do. The type of learning that I get to focus on a lot is the learning that happens in our classrooms. So I just wanted to speak with you for a few minutes about that. So I want you to think about the learning that is personal, the learning that is about me. And for us here, where we are going with our learning, and forgive me for having some notes to make sure I get through all of this for you, is that learning is about personal growth and it's not about where you rank in the class. It's not about taking in all of the content to spit it back out. It's about getting really, really good at something that you really, really love. It's about taking ownership through personalization of your learning, both in terms of your relationships with your teachers, but also in what you choose to learn about. And it's about supporting students taking personal responsibility for their learning. So whether that's having a learning platform like Canvas, which enables students to practice good time management and have all of the resources available to them in one spot, or the accountability by having really high standards of academic integrity and purpose. These are things that really help us support the personalization of learning. And we see that a lot through inquiry projects, which I bet a lot of you are doing in your schools as well. One inquiry project that we're really proud of is something that our grade 10 social studies students did for a really long time, where they got to investigate their own family histories and then connect that to different immigration laws and phases in the Canadian history. Another form of version, I'll get the order of this right, another form of learning that we see, and this is something that Mr. Kern alluded to, is that learning is not just about you alone. Learning is about a shared process. It takes time, it takes patience. It is really about finding that true collaboration with other students. Our teachers are doing it, Our teams are doing it in really exciting ways that provide for really authentic opportunities for students to learn. So whether it's like the play that a lot of you were given a brochure for, which we invite you back for in a couple weeks, Death of a Salesman, or things like the Dragon's Lair, which our business courses work towards every year. These authentic collaborative experiences are really about doing things that are meaningful and that have impact and that mirror how we work in the real world. This is also supported by a really powerful network of mentors who have experiences to transmit to students. And so whether that's everyday growth or transformational experiences, who we learn from is also really important. And how we learn together is also really important as well. And some everyday strategies that you might see that happening in are discussion-based learning methods. You may have heard of the Harkness method, which a lot of our courses use, or different learning protocols, which really ensure that learning is about talking, but it's also about listening to each other as well. The last bit is that learning takes place in and for the world, right? We are not separate from the world that is outside of our gates. We are within it. And we hope that through learning, our students are having a growing awareness of injustices, that they are making positive contributions to joyful and healthy and happy communities, and that we're really working hard to incorporate meaningfully First Peoples principles of learning, global citizenship, environmental stewardship. All of those things can be buzzwords, or they can be really important ways to learn about how to navigate the super complex world that we know is out there. This means that we do education for and of the world. And we try to get out there as much as possible. As beautiful as our campus is, it's not the only place where we can learn. So we have students going as far afield as Bamfield and Tofino for their school trips, not just for their their outdoor education trips. Then we also have students going to the Writers' Fest next week. So all kinds of ways to get out into the world. So here are some words that you may have heard describing boys. Somebody may have called you this at some point in your life. They may say that boys are competitive, that they're visual, that they're impulsive, that they're only kinesthetic learners, that they're risk takers, and that they zone out a lot. I wonder if you've had that said about you. And what I want you to know is that I have a very similar message to what Mr. Kern said, that it's not that we think that this is the way that every boy learns. And we, in fact, take a bit of a different angle on a lot of those words. So instead of competitive, we know that you might seek an authentic task where you have real value to contribute. Yes, you're visual, but that means that you are here, you are present, and you are taking in the world around you. You're impulsive, but you're also ready to go, and you're ready to dive in, and we're gonna be ready to capitalize on that energy. You're kinesthetic, but you're hands-on, and you're super practical, and you're ready to make a difference. You're risk takers, but you're also super loyal, right, to your friends and to your family. And you zone out, but you need rest, just like everybody else. I'd like just to highlight my last comments to you. I'd just like to highlight a couple of programs that some of our students that you've already heard from are really intimately connected with. And these are our cohort programs. And this is something that you might be able to join in your grade 10 year. So what these cohorts are is there are 4 of them. One is called Fusion, and they're all called 10 because they're for grade 10. So one is called Fusion, and that has a real focus on engineering, design, and STEM. One of them is called Express, and that's for creative expression in the performing arts. Our third one is Discovery, and that's outdoor education and leadership, and that's who we're really learning from, because our Discovery program has existed for about 18 years. And lastly is our Connect program, which is about global studies. We'll just wait for that mic to turn on. I think they're on it. Global studies and creative leadership. And we share these with you because these are ways I think we're quiet now. These are ways that all of the things that I've mentioned on really get highlighted and really get emphasized. So this is a really exciting set of opportunities for our grade 10 students and really help drive a lot of the work leading up to that in grade 8 and grade 9 and coming out of that in grade 11 and grade 12 as well. The last thing I'd like to leave you with is this idea that we are a school and we are about learning. And we as a school are also trying to get better and are also always learning. So we're working on aligning our values and our actions. We're working on making sure that every student has a really amazing set of experiences. And we're working on ways to involve you, families, and communities in ever more relevant ways, because while we have amazing teachers here, we also know that your lives bring an incredible set of experiences as well, and we really want those to be highlighted in your learning. So like Mr. Kern, I'm really excited to talk with you after you have your tours, and I am going to pass it over to Mr. Lee.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. How are you all doing tonight? I've got to ask the parents a question. I haven't seen kids sit so still for presentations ever, so how do you all do it? We need to take some cues from you. Boys, you guys are doing a great job. And I see some young folks in here, might be 3rd and 4th grade, and you haven't moved. I don't know if they think this is part of the admissions process and we're taping you. We're not. You can actually relax a little bit and sort of enjoy what we're taking in. My name is Brian Lee. I'm the associate principal, as you know, of senior campus and student life as my focus here as well. And I've been at the school for 20 years. And I know what you're saying, you look way too young to be here that long. Is that what you're saying? It's interesting because when I'm not under the lights, like you can see all the gray hair and stuff, and I'm bald, and so it's a bit misleading. So anyhow, welcome. I do want to say something though. You all could be anywhere tonight, and you chose to be here at St. George's School to learn more about the school and what we potentially can offer your children. And that isn't taken lightly by anyone in this community. So thank you for putting us as a priority tonight. It does mean a lot to us. Student life is inextricably linked to what we do within academics and a variety of areas throughout the school. We don't live in silos. Sarah gave some excellent examples of what we do in the classroom, how we try to support students. But I can tell you that it's the same thing in student life. Our job in student life and the school's job is to ensure that we provide and your sons experience something really positive in school life every day. I'm fortunate to coach in the community. I coach young kids in the community, and one of the most fulfilling things for me is to see them run and sprint literally from the parking lot to the gym every day. Now, I'll be honest, our kids aren't sprinting from the parking lot into the St. George's Senior School every single day. It's a brisk walk, but they definitely come, and they're excited to be here. And this is a place that they truly feel comfortable. This is a place where they feel that they can grow and that they're supported. And they don't take that lightly by any stretch of the imagination. I was fortunate today to work with a group of individuals in a community outreach program called Each One Teach One. And the purpose of that group is to give individuals a chance, or students a chance, to mentor students in the downtown east side at elementary schools to really give back and make a positive difference in the lives of those around them outside of the community. And so on the way, today was a training session, and we start next week. And so on our way back, I mentioned to the boys that I was actually going to be speaking to some prospective students and families here. And I said, well, what would you like them to know? And they said a variety of things, but unequivocally, the one thing, and you've heard it before, that our students will tell you, those who've graduated 15, 20 years ago, 5 years ago, who are currently here, the one thing they'll tell you is that they truly value and appreciate the relationships that they form within this building, not just with their peers, but also with the faculty members, which is really important to them. Our faculty, I'm very proud to say that I work with very committed, unbelievably talented and passionate individuals who prepare every single day to give your boys the very best. And that really, we talk about student life and we talk about enriching their experience, it really starts from the leaders and the people in this building. And I think that is first class. So that's something that you can certainly look forward to. Teaching begins where a student is in his learning. I think I should click this, shouldn't I? Am I going the wrong way? Teaching begins where a student is in his learning. We can't move a student from A to B unless we know who they are, what their strengths are, their capacities, their blind spots, their passions. And so we're very deliberate and intentional in terms of how we get to know our students. We have many levers and systems in place to ensure that those connections are made. One of them is our advisory system, which some of you may have already learned about, and that is a wonderful opportunity for our every adult here in the school, teacher, to be connected to a group of boys between 8 and 10 in numbers, and they meet once a week. And the purpose of that nested community in our larger community is to, again, make those important connections. And in those, during that time frame, there are a variety of activities that take place that support school programming, but really hone in and allow us to teach important character lessons, allows us to have meaningful conversations, it allows us to the intimacy to give students the freedom to speak and really reflect on moments and situations that they go through on a daily basis. And so that is a program that we're quite proud of, and the way it works from a system standpoint is that when the students come in here to the senior school, their advisor group and the advisor does not change. They move with the advisor each year, so by the time they've graduated, if they've had an advisor from 8th grade, they actually, they really get to know each other well, and then also have one adult in the building that knows who they are and loves them and cares for them. And that's a very powerful program from our end in terms of creating a nested community. In terms of developing relationships and engaging students, we have a variety of programs that do that, and in terms of being intentional, we have a co-curricular program where students are expected to participate in each of their years that they're here. At the junior levels, from 8th, 9th, and 10th grade, students in each of their three terms are expected to commit to one co-curricular program, and 2 of the 3 terms have to be something along the lines that's physical activity. It could be competitive sport, it could be recreational, and then 1 is optional. It could be something along the lines of arts and a variety of areas where they can engage in clubs and interest areas throughout the school. And so that is something that our co-curricular program really enforces, is that our students are able to really make those connections and engage and learn the very important character lessons that I'll talk about in a second. Our senior students are also involved, and their commitment is lessened, but there's still 2 out of 3 terms expected to commit throughout. Our faculty, they're the ones leading as sponsors in these programs, and the faculty expectation is that they're also part of that, and those sessions take place for an hour and a half after school, 2 out of the 5 days throughout the weekday. Support structures. Many support structures exist to ensure that our students are actually thriving on a day-to-day basis. We have a head of grade structure, which is quite unique to our school, certainly in Canada, where each grade level has a head of grade, an individual who's responsible for pastoral care and oversight for pastoral care for each individual boy in their grade, as well as academics, to ensure that our boys are well positioned to be successful. And so that individual in 8th grade, that head of grade, stays as the sort of expert of that grade, and they make meaningful connections with students at our junior campus in 7th grade coming through, and then also working with our new boys and helping them to integrate into our school community. The 9th and 10th grade heads of grade, they rotate each year, so 9 will go to 10, and then they'll go back to 9 the year after. So the students in 9th grade will have the same head of grade for 2 years, and we'll do the exact same thing moving through for 11 and 12. They rotate each year as well. So they'll have the head of grade for 2 years and the senior levels. The counseling at our school, I think, is second to none, and each boy is assigned a personal counselor, which is part of their advisor group, so there's a tie-in there as well. And that personal counselor is there to support the boys if they need someone to just be an ear, someone who can serve as a resource and support them through some challenging times that they may have throughout. If I had my brothers, I'd make sure that every single boy in the school spends some time with their personal counselor, because we all at some time need to sort of have that individual that we can connect with, and with their expertise certainly can lend their support in a meaningful way. Our university counseling program is outstanding. and our boys are assigned a university counselor as early as 10th grade to help support them in the introduction of what the world of university counseling university admissions is all about. But there's assigned a specialized university counselor in 11th and 11th grade, which will support them through the process in 11th and 12th throughout. We have a 5th block program which takes place after school. Tons of programs, but I wanted to highlight this program as a support mechanism for students who need additional academic support, not necessarily through Resource, which is our student success program, but if they need additional help, whether it's with their writing or their math, we have tutors and individuals who are involved during that time frame from 3:30 to 5 o'clock from Monday to Thursday to help students in need. We also, teachers refer students to 5th block if they feel that they need additional time to really, and space to really work on their academics and stay on top of things to that extent. The other piece in terms of our community structure around support is of course with our health services. Our nurse on senior campus is again well versed in certain concussion protocol and re-entry into the school if a student has missed a number of days, and so the expertise is there, and we're quite proud of what we're able to provide you in those times of need. Mr. Kern talked about character education. Now I have to say that is fundamental to everything that we do here at the school. Our ability to instill and cultivate values for our boys is something that we take quite seriously. We have a student code of conduct and a set of standards and expectations that we outline with our boys. I think it's important we know through boys' education that they need to know what the rules of the game are. They need to know that they're going to be held accountable. They're going to need to know that they're going to be supported when they misstep. And by the way, when boys make a mistake or when kids make a mistake, it's not necessarily seen as a negative. We truly, truly believe that there are opportunities, teachable moments, when students do make mistakes. And so everything about our discipline process, it's a progressive discipline process, is about helping students through these mistakes. When these mistakes are egregious, they require more serious intervention, and we move accordingly. But please understand that one of the things that we do expect and work with is boys who do make some indiscretions throughout their day here. And again, it is always an opportunity for us to build their character and help teach very, very important lessons throughout. I want to say a couple things around identity, and Mr. Kern had mentioned it, and I'll say this in closing. I think we believe that when our students walk across the stage and they graduate, yes, they will have a diploma in hand. Yes, our students will matriculate to amazing universities, but I believe, and we believe, keeping true to our mission of the school, having a good and a strong sense of self and a belief in who you are is fundamental. And it's an armor that we try to provide with them so that when they do leave the school, they can not only thrive in environments, but they can have a fulfilling life and be able to attain the goals that they've set for themselves. If students lack that belief in themselves, and if they don't understand who they are and their values are not aligned, or their actions aren't aligned with their values, and I think we've done them a disservice. It's interesting, as parents, and I have 3 children of my own, so I understand this fully. We spend a lot of time in helping them achieve numbers. You know, we talk about their GPA, and we talk about their APs certainly at the senior levels, and you know, the things that you can actually count. But we know the things that count the most sometimes cannot be counted. And how many students actually set as a goal, how many students sit down and say, you know what, I'm going to actually try to make a difference in the life of someone today or throughout the year? How many people really sit down and set goals around being more empathetic and understanding and being a good listener? And I wonder why they don't. Is it because we don't emphasize it? We know it's not what you teach and what you say, it's what you emphasize. They hear and listen and learn from things that are recurring. Saying things in the home once or twice, a few times, thinking that they'll get it, may not be enough. maybe we need to start to help them set these goals that are important life goals. Because my guess is every single person in this room, you are most proud when you hear comments that your son is respectful. You're most proud when you hear that your son treats everyone, is empathetic to those that he meets, and that he's a leader and he contributes positively. The numbers are wonderful and they're great, but if they don't have the character within which you instill in them in the home, my guess there'll be some disappointment. So the question is, why do we not focus on that? Why do we not have those conversations? They come in the car after school, how'd you do on that test? How many goals did you score? Always looking for the quantifiable numbers and the things that we do. And I put my hand up as well, being a parent. So in closing, I'd just like to leave you with those reflections. St. George's is a wonderful place. Like I said, I've been here for 20 years. I believe in it. Having these presentations is very easy for me because it's a place that I know does right by students. I'd like to now bring on the admissions team, Mr. Rado Karmazan, and you can take care from here. Thank you, Rado.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rado Karmazan, and I serve here at our Senior School Admissions Office, and it's my pleasure to introduce our team here, the four of us here at the Senior School. Immediately to my left, I've got Vicki Flanagan, who connects primarily with our day families here from grades 8 through 12. Next to her is Carl Dillon, who's probably the person you'll hear from the most from throughout your time if you choose to apply this year, as he manages all of our applications that come in throughout the year, document submissions, follow-ups on score reports coming in, and whether it's signed Carl Dillon at the bottom or just admissions team, you can probably bet it's Carl on the other end or the software that we use on the back end. And at the far end is Monica Chang. Monica's primarily connecting with our boarding families and our international and domestic outreach, but does support our day process here at the Senior School as well. And just a little bit more information about our team collectively. Between those of us up here on the stage, we counted it earlier today, 27 years of admissions experience here at St. George's School. That's 27 admissions cycles. And we didn't get as far as doing how much the math is in terms of total applications that we've processed during the years we've worked together as a group. But it's a group that you'll be able to connect with, who can speak to so many parts of our school because they're authentically integrated into so much more than just our department. So between the four of us, we have two of us that serve as advisors, as Brian spoke to in the role we play with the group of boys we're assigned to all the way through the time they're at the school. We've had members of our team function in house parent roles here on campus. And I think almost all of us have coached or been involved in leading a co-curricular sport with our boys here after school or on the weekends. And many of us that serve on department-wide committees supporting major events at the school or other committee efforts school-wide. And I share with you our integration to the school because I think it's meaningful in terms of our meetings with you and the conversations we can hold. It means for the boys in the room, we can speak about the experience of our students, having witnessed it firsthand. And it also means that our processes, our decisions, our perspectives that we bring to our meetings are shaped by what we see our boys doing this year right now and evolve along with St. George's. Because I can tell you in the 11 years I've been here, nothing stays still. The school is always evolving, growing, changing, and moving. And our team makes a really committed effort to ensure we're staying lockstep with our evolution as a school. So at this point, I know we'll disband as a team here, as we've got a number of different places to head to continue to support the event tonight that they've worked so tirelessly to put together. But I did want to talk just a little bit further about a few other points relating to admissions and maybe to catch up on our slideshow here. One of the primary goals of the team you just saw up here on the stage is to make sure that you're well-versed and you feel confident that you understand our admissions process. We did not want to spend 20 minutes this evening going through every element of what that process is because we've got printouts just out in the hallway that you can grab. It's all listed on the website, and we're a team you'll be able to connect with in the weeks and months ahead, where the other speakers that were here tonight are here for one night to connect with you only. That said, beyond the process that you'll be able to see in detail online, I did want to highlight just a couple of important timelines, the most important of which is our November 15th application deadline. So it's coming up in 3 weeks' time, which means you've taken a good opportunity to come visit us now with plenty of time to get online and submit that application. And once you do that, you'll be assigned with a checklist that has these really rewarding green check marks that appear as you work your way down and add your supporting documents and your other submissions to the application. I also want to just highlight that one of those green check marks is when you send us your entrance test results, which is the SSAT assessment, and that students are eligible to write any SSAT at any location on the Lower Mainland, but they do need to write it either this November or December. So we do need all those tests written before the end of the 2019 calendar year. And I think also important for folks, and quite important details, are when our decisions are released. And for grade 8, we're fortunate to be in a region here where there's a collection of schools that release decisions all on the same day for a common offer date for grade 8, so that families can really make an informed decision with all their options in front of us. And for us this year, that's February 20th, when that group of schools will be releasing their decisions, which lines up nicely with the timeline around mini schools for those that might have decisions relating to mini schools as well. And for the students applying in the upper grades, grades 9 through 12, those come out on a rolling basis, and all decisions are released no later than mid-March as we head into spring break. I was going to give a little bit of advice for parents and students, but I'm not going to follow up on Brian's advice for parents, because I think that's the real message that all the parents in the room can take home with them. But I do have just a little piece of advice for the students that are here. And that's really something I want to share from our team as a whole, and that is that our goal in admissions, whether we meet with you during a group activity or we meet with you in an individual setting, is that we're trying to find out who you are as an individual, so be yourself. Know that our questions are not designed to be complicated, rather they're designed to set you up to share with us who you are and what you value, what's really important to you. I also want to give you a sneak peek at this. Some of you may have seen the model when you came in. This is a really exciting year for us here at St. George's, in that we're going to be breaking ground on a brand new senior school heart of our campus that we believe is going to be really transformational to our students' experience here. In just a moment, we're going to send you out for tours of this campus, and when you come back afterwards for hopefully another round at that buffet and a drink, you'll notice that there's also a model and some big foam boards at the very back of the Great Hall. And what it shows is a new set of buildings we'll be raising and building over the next couple of years that include 2 academic buildings, which will contain all of our teaching and learning classroom spaces, as well as spaces for some of our co-curriculars like fine arts and ceramics. It'll also include a 3rd building in that collection around that quadrangle, which will be Saints Hall. And Saints Hall is designed for a space where we can come together for major events, where our boys can all share a meal, because we know what that means to sit down and spend that precious time together. And really to be a space where we can come together as a whole school community, all 275 students, faculty, staff, and come together in one collective space to bond and to share back as a community. This gives you a sense of some of the interior spaces, and these spaces are designed based on research that we did through an association we belong to called the International Boys School Coalition. We took that research, we piloted, tested, and refined it at our junior school, which has undergone a succession of renovations over the past 5 years, and really came up with a set of plates and design for these new buildings that we're really confident are going to serve our boys really well, and that'll be inspiring spaces not only for what they offer inside, but also the way that they're connected to the outdoors, the way they're centered around an outdoor space, the amount of natural light that comes into it, and also the way that it shares some of those views out to the natural world around us, because we're so fortunate, not just in Vancouver, but in this little pocket here as well for what we have immediately around us. So I do hope, one last thing I think for this audience in particular, is for those of you who are sitting there going, I've lived through a home reno, I've lived through a school rebuilding, I don't want to come home every day with drywall in my hair. One of the things we're really fortunate about is these new buildings are going up on our fields. And we're lucky in the way that we've rebuilt our fields that we're going to maintain 2 full playing fields throughout the entirety of our construction process. But having been a student here during the last construction that happened under this roof, it can be quite disruptive. And so I was really pleased to hear that this building will be staying intact as is, so that the day-to-day learning experience of our boys won't be impacted significantly. And all of these new spaces are being built on fresh ground, on fresh property, and there won't be immediate adjacent construction happening with this wall or any student's classroom or studio or learning space. At this point, I'm not sure exactly what the research shows us for the exact minute, but I know that we've had you guys sitting here for far too long, especially some of our younger folks in the room, particularly our boys. So I know at this point in time, our student ambassadors are lined up out this door at the bottom and another set out the top doors, because they're really thrilled to be able to show you their school as they know it. I think this will be your most valuable time on campus with us this evening as they take you around in small groups of probably 3 or 4, show you our campus, and then we really hope you'll take some time afterwards to come back to the Great Hall, ask us any questions you have about the process, or connect with some of the speakers that were up here on stage. I'm thinking if we take sort of everybody in the front 10 rows going this way here, and anybody in the back half, if you can head out that top door there, that'll give us a nice split to match up with our tour guides. Thank you.